Hi everybody, welcome to day 16 of 30 Days of Corsets. So we are officially more than halfway through. Today I'm going to discuss my most expensive corsets, and actually I did discuss this a little bit in my Patreon live stream. I think that was like a few months ago, I think back in March. So yeah, somebody did ask me how much my most expensive corset was. So today I'm going to discuss some of those. And to be fair, most of my would-be most expensive corsets were actually purchased during sample sales. So for instance, like my Pullman or Electro Designs corset that might have been normally $750 or $1,000, I had gotten for $500 or even sometimes less than that. Like if this was a second or third hand corset that was passed down from like model to model, or you know, from one owner to the next, I ended up paying like $300 for something that might have cost me more than $1,000. So the corset that is probably worth the most right now in my collection is the Aziza Overbust by Dark Garden. That's my gold brocade overbust with the straps in it. So at the time I reviewed it, I think that was around $975. But since then, because they actually ended up working with Mr. Pearl, and he was teaching them for a while and helping them like improve some of their production, and also because overhead costs do go up over time, now that corset is worth almost $2,200. If I look it up, it's actually $2,145 at the time that I'm recording this video. So if anybody is watching this in future years, it might even go further up from there. So that corset, even though I did not pay $2,200 for it, that is probably the corset with the most value in my collection, I suppose. That is the one that would cost the most if you were to buy it new today. The corset that I had personally spent the most on was probably my overbust from Sparklewren, the cranberry overbust. So that was around $1,000, or maybe a little bit more than that. If Jenny were still taking commissions today, then obviously it would be much more than that, maybe over $1,500 or maybe even more, because she is such a sought after corsetier, but she is not active in the corset industry at this time. And also my lace smothered overbust, that was actually purchased as a sample. So if you were to commission that new, obviously it would be like maybe even up to $2,000 or something. But at the time, I think as a sample, it was around the $800 or $1,000 range. So the cranberry plunge corset was purchased in 2012, and the lace smothered gold overbust was purchased in 2015. One honorable mention would be the Vico corset gown by Vollers, which I reviewed, but that was on loan. So what they did was they sent me the corset, I gave them my measurements, and they sort of made it like semi-custom. It wasn't like perfectly to my measurements, but it was hemmed to fit my height and whatnot. And I reviewed it. I also wore it to the Oxford Conference of Corsetry, and then I actually went to visit Vollers after the conference, and I gave the corset back to them because it was basically a floor sample. So that dress starts at 950 pounds sterling, which would convert to about $1,500 today, I believe. And like I said, I've also purchased samples from Pullman, from Electro Designs, from Skeletons in the Closet, from many different custom makers. So many of those corsets are well above $500 to $700 sometimes if you were to buy them new and custom made to measure. But of course, I tend to fit their samples pretty well, so I'm pretty lucky in that regard. And another custom corset that is worth quite a lot is probably this Playboy corset bodysuit that is made by House of Canney, and I'm really excited that this is in my collection. I purchased this secondhand, so I probably paid around $400, maybe $450 for it, and it would probably be like well over $600, $700 new. Unfortunately, I do need to alter it before I'm able to wear it because it was made for somebody who's shorter than myself and has like a more shallow pelvis. So there is a little bit of space in the gusset here that I can lengthen it by about 2 inches, and hopefully that will give me less of a wedgie. It does seem to be an okay length from the waist up, so I'm lucky in that regard. But we'll see if I'm ever able to fit into this because, like I've said in previous videos, corset bodysuits are so impressive expensive because there are so many different things to consider, like how it fits the bust, how it fits the waist and the ribs, over the hips, over the bum, under the crotch. So I would love to be able to own and wear a corset bodysuit. But as it stands right now, this was not made for my body specifically. So we'll see if I'm able to alter it to get it to fit. So yes, that is a little tour of my most expensive corsets in my collection and how much they cost. So if you are comfortable sharing any information about your best, your favorite, your most couture, your most expensive custom corset, feel free to leave a comment down below and let us know. Of course, you know, talking about money, some people don't think that's necessarily very classy. So if you are not comfortable sharing, obviously you don't have to. It's only for people who are comfortable talking about that sort of thing. But of course, people are interested in how much corsets cost, and that's why I include the price in almost all of my corset reviews. And I also talk about funding different corsets on Patreon. That's why every single one of my patrons are able to vote with their dollar and let me know which types of corsets they want me to review in the future, because obviously they should have a say in where their money is going and what they're funding. And so yeah, if people are thinking that, yeah, corsetry is an expensive hobby, you're not wrong. And that's why my Patreon is there, because if you want to see reviews, you know, they have to come from somewhere. So and when I sell off some of my samples and some corsets from my personal collection, first dibs go to my patrons, because they are the ones who were often funding the corsets in the first place. So I think that's only fair. But yeah, so that's all for this video. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to leave them down below. Make sure to give this video a like, subscribe if you are new here. Keep staying subscribed if you have already been here for a while. And I will see you all next week for another video. Bye.